Normally we would have more people join us, but we really appreciate you taking the time to talk story with us. So it'll be a lot more intimate conversation with you tonight, but we will try harder to reach out to more beneficiaries in the Le'ilpua community. So just wanted to mahalo you for being here. Real quickly, just wanted to introduce the other folks on the call. You know me from just talking story, but also on the call is Julianne Cachola, who's the lead planner for the department's renewable energy projects. We have Cedric Dort from our Information and Community Relations Office. We have Julie Chemin, sorry, okay, from NextAmp, who is the company that the department is looking to partner with on this renewable energy project. And last but not least, definitely not least, Commissioner Michael Kalekini, one of the Hawaii Island commissioners. Next slide, I guess. So we did invite 975 applicants and lessees that have zip codes in the North Kona area. Hopefully we can circle back with beneficiaries in the area at a future time to get more input. And I guess since it's just you, did you want to say anything about yourself right now, Kabedi? Quick introduction.
Sure, of course. Aloha, everybody. It's nice to meet you. I'm the president at Le'ilpua 2020. We are located right below the new housing development that's going up now. I've been there for 2 years, and there are lots of really neat things that we're starting to do as we gain traction in being able to move forward to serve the community through the properties that we have been so graciously provided through DHHL. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks. And yay, we got another person to join. Next slide. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to provide information regarding the department's potential renewable energy project. It'll consist of a presentation from the department. It'll also consist of a presentation by NextAmp on project details. So that's the first part of the meeting. The second part of the meeting is a discussion portion that would allow Kabehi and Cindy, thanks for joining us, Cindy, to ask any questions, make any comments regarding the presentation to us, and we will record your folks' comments. And then last, we will go over next steps. Next slide. So I think by now we're mostly familiar with the controls in a virtual meeting. Just quick things to point out. When you folks aren't talking, please mute yourself. This will eliminate the background noise, like if your neighbor is cutting grass or you have pets barking, or it'll just cut out the background noise. There's 2 ways to make a comment tonight. You can either do it in the chat box or raise your hand, and the facilitator, who will be me tonight, will call you when you raise your hand. Since we have a small turnout tonight, I encourage you to verbally participate. And then below is just kind of the common controls that you see in a virtual meeting environment. Next slide. So our Netiquette, or our meeting Kuleana tonight, even though this is being held virtually, like any other meeting, please be respectful of the person talking. Treat others how you would like to be treated. Accept that others may come to the meeting with different perspectives and opinions, and so we need to agree to disagree. This goes both for department staff as well as community members who joined us. have an open mindset. Leave the meeting with at least one new idea or piece of information. You can use the chat box anytime to ask questions or make comments during the presentation. And raise your hand if you want to speak, and I will call on you. Next slide. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Julianne Cachola, who will cover why we're here tonight.
Thank you. Aloha, everyone. My name is Julie Cachola. I work in the planning office with Andrew. And, I guess a good place to start is, you might be wondering, why is DHHL involved with renewable energy? Why are we looking at Kalaoa? Why now? And exactly, how does this work with DHHL? So the way we get involved in renewable energy is that in 2009, the commission adopted an energy policy, and basically it had different objectives, but the main thing is to enable Native Hawaiians to lead the efforts in the state's move towards energy self-sufficiency, right, and sustainability. So we felt that, the policy says Native Hawaiians, our beneficiaries, have a role and stake in its renewable energy for the state of Hawaii, so we should participate. We should actually lead those efforts. In 2015, there was a game-changing thing that happened. As you know, Governor Ige signed into law the requirement that utilities have to produce 100% of their electricity from renewable energy sources by the year 2045. That's major, 100%. So this created overnight, basically, the huge need and demand for renewable energy. Of course, DHHL, we have lands, we have trust lands, and those lands happen to be, we have some strategically located lands that have excellent renewable energy resources. And we have needs. So renewable energy development on Hawaiian homelands can generate revenue for new homestead development and can deliver benefits for our communities. So this is kind of the why is Hawaiian homelands involved. When we look at why here in Kalaoa, these are parcels in Kalaoa, and just to give you orientation, you guys know where you are. This is the Queen K. Can you see my cursor? This is the Queen K Highway, and here's the airport. So what we look, these are Kalaoa lands. Let me go to the next slide. When we consider what are we doing with our lands, the first place we look is our island plan. And our island plan kind of charts out the different land uses for our parcels. It takes a look at every single one of our parcel and tries to figure out what should we be doing here. So we had identified these areas for residential development, commercial development, general agriculture, and industrial. So what we're looking at is this, the industrial designated lands in Kalaoa, which is the one that's right across from Nauha Host Park entrance. So that's where the parcel that we're looking at. The parcel itself is 200, let me see. The whole parcel is 200 acres, but we're actually looking at a portion, the southern half of that, which is only 100 acres. Now, another reason why we're looking at this is in 2009 and 2020, the Kealakahe Regional Plan identified, the beneficiaries participated in this, in developing their regional plan, and they identified on both plans a priority project for a renewable energy initiative. And so this is an excerpt from the 2009 regional plan, and I'm just bringing it up because it actually did identify this site for the renewable energy initiative. In the 2020 regional plan, the most recent regional plan, the priority project was still to have a renewable energy initiative, which would increase the energy self-sufficiency in the region and provide benefits to the community. And those would be general benefits that would go to the community, as well as like training, professional development, job creation. So that gives us a good reason why we're doing a renewable energy, particularly at that site. So how does DHHL get involved? How does this work? This is my attempt to simplify the basically complex relationships, but there's essentially three players on this table, right? You have the utility, which is HECO, and they have to, remember, generate 100% of their electricity from renewable energy resources by 2045. So they have a need to get renewable energy on their grid. They basically buy energy. So well, let me introduce it. So this HECO, and then there's the renewable energy next AMP to be the renewable energy producer, and then there's us as the landowner. So HECO has a need to purchase renewable energy from these renewable energy producers. And the process starts with they send out a request for proposals, and is a very, very competitive process. And it ends with what's called a power purchase agreement, and basically an agreement that says, HECO will buy energy from the renewable energy producer at a certain rate. The energy producer agrees to provide that renewable energy. So the producer in the middle, they basically have the technology. They know how to harness, for instance, solar energy and bring it to grid. They have the technology. What they need, though, is the land. They need the place that they can do this. And they also need the utility to want to buy that energy from them. So that's where they're coming from. They need the PPA with the utility, and they're looking for land or general lease with the landowner. That's where we come in. DHHL is the landowner. We come in with the land that has the renewable energy resource, right? And what we're looking for, we're trying to get general lease revenue so that we can continue to provide homestead development. We're also come with beneficiaries. And that means that we're very concerned about minimizing the adverse impacts to our beneficiaries, and also maximizing the benefits to our beneficiaries, right? So in this case, we have a regional plan priority project, that says we're interested in benefits like workforce training. Many communities say, basically, we want lower electric bills. So this is kind of like the schematic of how DHHL gets involved. We general lease with the producer that produces the energy, and they have this agreement with HECO to provide that energy, and HECO buys it. This schematic is the point of this schematic is to show you the same three players, the same three entities, that each go through their own process. And so it's kind of, it's difficult, it's multi-level. We have to coordinate our timing of our process to kind of match HECO's process so that we can intersect in the right places. Our process starts with a solicitation. We put out an ad and we say, we're interested in any in renewable energy producers who want to apply to provide a project on our parcel. And so the energy company submits a proposal, we view it, and it goes through our competitive process basically. And we got 3 applications for this site. We selected Next AMP to be the developer here. We still have a long ways to go in this process. We're still very early in the process. We have, we're doing our consultation now. We are required by law to conduct 2 public hearings. There's commission decisions that have to be done on a kind of a temporary right of entry, which gives the company the opportunity to go in to do studies. And there's a lot of due diligence studies, cultural studies, environmental studies, biological. They have to essentially do the environmental assessment for the project. So that's a long process. we take that out also for information when that becomes available, and there is a commission decision to accept that environmental assessment or not. And eventually then the general lease would be issued if everything goes well. And then at that point, then the developer will have to, you know, do the financing and construction. That's provided that they have the power purchase agreement from HECO. So HECO on their strand, right, they put on an RFP, they're looking for proposals too. So the developer would have to respond to that and submit. And basically this is a very truncated process, but the basic thing that they're looking, does this company have site control, right? Do they have land to do their project on? And so that's what we're trying to provide, is semblance of site control so that they can continue in this process. And hopefully at the end, they make it through. It actually has to go to the PUC for approval, right? So this is a competitive and negotiated process, and hopefully they come through. So there's a lot of ifs on these boards. There's a lot of decisions and kind of hoops that have to be gone through on all the different processes. So as if that's not complicated enough, there's actually a new thing that's happened, is HECO has come up with this new kind of model of spreading the benefits of renewable energy. And so they call it community-based renewable energy. And I'm going to provide an animated slide here that can give you the storyline of what the concept is, because this is a different concept. So starting this out, this is where I live and our electric plant at Kahi Point. But so the story starts out basically with homes that have put up solar panels on their roof. They're happy, if they need more energy, they're still connected to grid and they can get energy from HECO if need be. But basically they're happy because their bill is like down to $19 a month. They're just a basic nominal fee just to keep the lines open in case they need to draw energy from HECO. So we have also people living in apartments, right? They don't have rooftops to put PV panels on. So they're not too happy because they couldn't do renewable energy even if they wanted to do. There's no rooftops for them. There's also people with rooftops, but it costs money to put PV panels on top of your roof, and maybe they don't have enough money to actually put PVs on their rooftops. So they're not happy either. They're not being able to enjoy benefits of renewable energy. And they're paying a high electric bill as a result. So what happens is HECO has decided, okay, they developed this new renewable energy, and what they're trying to do is get these people that live in apartments or that can't afford to put PV panels, to get them to be able to enjoy some benefits of renewable energy development. So how this works is there is a subscriber organization, which in our model will be, they are the renewable energy developer, right? So the developer comes in, they have to get a site, right? This is site control. They have to develop, they're going to develop a solar project. They're hooking this project up to grid, so they connect up to HECO, and they deliver energy to HECO. They also are required to come up with subscribers, and this is how HECO is going to pull in these other people that have not been able to benefit from having solar panels on their rooftops. They come in as subscribers. This organization that enrolls the subscribers would give that list to HECO. So what happens is that when HECO cuts the bills every month, that when the bill goes to the subscriber, they're happy because they get a reduction in their bill, 10% plus, right? So now they get to share in the benefits. They still have a direct line to HECO. That doesn't change, right? It's still the same line that provides power for their homes. That doesn't change. The only thing that really changes is they realize a reduction in the bill because they're a subscriber to this community-based renewable energy project. And so that's the concept here. It's a different concept, but basically we're looking at a solar project, and with this membership kind of subscriber base that is able to provide benefits. And you know, in old times, you would have to live next door. You would be the community living next door to get the benefit, right? This way, you live on Big Island, you could subscribe to a project. So that's, I think, the requirement. Some projects have decided, and our project would be one of these, to cater to the low to moderate income group. So there would be an income qualifications, but basically you don't have to be right next to, you know, the power plant or the project to get a benefit. And that's a great thing about this community-based renewable energy. So that's basically the context, an explanation of why we're getting involved, how we get involved, and in particular, the community-based renewable energy model. And tonight we have our selected developer, Nexamp. We can hear directly their proposal, Kalaoa, so that you can ask questions and make comments directly to the developer. So tonight, Julie, another Julie, is the Nexamp Director of Business Development, and I will let her pronounce her last name. So Julie, without further ado.
Thanks, Julianne. It's Boscheman, and it's really hard.
Boscheman.
You can call me, everyone can call me Julie B. That's fine. Thank you so much. That was a great explanation, Julianne. And hi, everyone. I'm Julie B. I'm a director at Nexamp for Hawaii. And basically my job is to work with different landowners to get projects ready for the CBRE 2 program, and then work with the communities to make sure that the projects are compatible with the community and make sure that the projects are successful through HECO. So I will talk to you a little bit about our company, Nexamp, and then I'll talk a little bit about what's been happening with renewable energy in Hawaii. Julianne covered it very well, but just have a couple more facts on that. The CBRE 2 program summary and what the program is about and why it's happening and what that looks like for the low to moderate income families. Then I'll show the proposed solar layouts for the Kalaoa site and just the different elements there. Talk about community benefits, talk about what our subscription service looks like, and then some of the outreach activities that we do typically in communities and how we plan to communicate with the community going forward. And then at the end, we'll take comments and questions. Okay, so Nexamp is a about 14-year-old company. It was started by two best friends who went to high school together who wanted to bring solar energy to local businesses and homes. And we eventually blossomed into being a larger company that works on community solar projects across the mainland and Hawaii, soon to be. But we work in 18 territories on the mainland now, where we've done over 200 projects, just like the one we're proposing here. And, you know, they're bringing lots of savings to those residents today, and also revenue to the landowners. And so one great thing about Nexamp is that we will own the project for its entire life. There are a lot of developers that will start a project and then sell it, but we will be responsible for it the whole time. So you'll have one point of contact with Nexamp. And We, are very stable financially. We're backed by a Mitsubishi subsidiary called Diamond Generating Corporation. But we still, act as Nexamp and, are very well backed there. This is our mission statement. I just wanted to show it so everyone can see Nexamp. Our whole mission is to build the future of energy so it's clean, simple, and accessible for everyone. And that means, no matter what your income is, no matter where you live, what type of home you have, that you can have access to clean energy. So right now, about 1 in 3 homes in Hawaii have rooftop solar. And so that means 2 out of the 3 homes, either it's too expensive to put solar panels on their roof, or they don't have a good roof. Maybe there's some trees blocking, adding shade. So that's why community solar is so great, is because it's just credits on your bill. You don't have to spend any money. It's very easy to sign up, and I'll talk about that a little more later. But Hawaiian Electric is at just under 35% renewable energy. Julianne talked about how their goal is to be 100% by 2045. So we really have a long way to go to get to that 100. The CBRE 2 program, it's a program that HECO started in response to needing more renewable energy. Like we said, it's overseen by the Public Utilities Commission, and developers from the mainland and Hawaii can bid in projects that they have site control on. And then HECO's self-build team can also bid in projects on HECO land. And then eventually HECO will look at, the price that each group bids in. They'll select a project for the, it's like a short list, and then it'll go through another round of best and final offer, they call it, where they will select final projects to be awarded. And I listed some of the objectives here according to the Public Utilities Commission. The purpose of the program is to bring significant renewable demand among customers who don't have rooftop solar, like I said, to make up for other renewable energy programs falling short of their goals. Like some of the big utility scale projects have not gone through, either because the community wasn't happy with them or it was very expensive to connect to the grid. So this is a way to bring smaller, more compatible renewable energy projects, to fruition. And the purpose of the program also is to serve the low to moderate income families, to make sure they have access to renewable energy, to make sure that CBRE benefits reach everyone. And also there are a lot of fossil fuel. One example is the AES coal plant on Oahu that's being retired over the next few years. And so HECO really needs to make up for that lost energy with clean energy. Next slide, please. This shows here what a low to moderate income definition means. So I listed out here based on the number of people in your family and what your total income is. If you meet those limits or you're under that, then you would be eligible to subscribe to this project and receive credits. And so as part of the program, we are required to sign up. At least 60% of the power from the project has to go to these homes. And for the Kalaoa project that we've proposed, this would be about 1,100 homes total that the system could serve. So it's about 130 homes per megawatt. A megawatt is like about 4 to 5 acres of panels on the ground. And if not enough beneficiary homes sign up, we can allocate the rest of the power to nonprofit organizations that serve the homesteads or any other groups, that that have buildings that use power. All right, so this is our proposed layout on the site. You can see in the top left is an aerial view similar to what Julianne showed before. The dashed line shows the limits for the 100 acres that were available to the south. And you can see the red dashed line is the fence for the solar project. And so right to the left there where that orange arrow is pointing is the substation that's currently there. Once you drive off Queen K Highway, you'll see that above ground substation. And the project would go right behind that. You can see the panels there in blue on the right. So the panels, they're on like tables that go north-south direction, and they're tracker panels, which means that they slowly turn with the sun throughout the day to kind of maximize the amount of power that we can put on the grid. And so this all together, the size of this, and that's the area inside the fence is just under 28 acres altogether. And I'll show some pictures next of what that equipment would look like. But you can see in the middle there's some boxes on that right-hand side picture. That's kind of where the bigger equipment goes. Some monitoring systems so that we can see what's going on 24/7 with the system, make sure everything's working correctly. There'll be a battery in there, which I can talk a little bit more about. And then also called an inverter, which is what transfers the power from direct current, which the panels take in, to alternating current, which is what's used on the grid. Next slide, please. All right, this is a ground view of what the project would look like, kind of just passing by. So you can see the tables of panels there. They're, a dark blue color. There's space in between so that a pickup truck can drive through if there's any maintenance. And then we are required to have a 7-foot high fence around all the panels. And that's National Electric Code. It's just for safety. Next one. So you can see here's some construction workers next to the panel, so you can kind of see how high they would be. They're usually anywhere from 8 to 10 feet at the very top. They turn, like I said, with the sun. So sometimes you'll see them flat like a table. Other times they'll be up like that. But all the wires are tucked in. There's nothing really hanging, and they're supported by steel piles, which are just driven into the ground. And at the end of the project's life, they can easily be pulled out. This is what you would see at the beginning of the site where the substation is. So on the left-hand side picture, you can see there's a nice kind of simple map of the site. And that's for emergency response, fire department, so they can see where the emergency shutoff is if that's needed. They can see kind of the layout of the site before going in. And then on the right-hand side there are the poles. And so from those poles, all the wires run underground to the solar project. And those poles have a lot of really necessary equipment on them, like the emergency shutoff, different things that HECO might need to access. One of them is the meter that tracks how much energy is being produced. So that's about what that would look like at the beginning of the Kalaoa site. I talked about some of the bigger pieces of equipment in the middle of the site. So these won't be on the edge, where you would walk by or drive by. These will be in the middle of the panels. And on the left there is the battery. So the batteries that are used now, and there's lots of them installed in Hawaii today, especially on Kauai. But those are very secure. They're solid lithium ion sheets inside with lots of layers around them, a lot of different monitoring systems, fire suppressant systems. You can see on the right hand side there, that's like an air conditioning unit. So it's very self-contained, and it's locked up. There should not be any issues. I've never heard of any issues, or we haven't had any to date. So the right hand side there is the inverter I talked about, converts the power from DC power to usable power on the grid. And then on the left is another cabinet where we kind of monitor the whole system. So one of the things I would love to hear from the community tonight about is, different uses, what the community and the beneficiaries would like to see as a dual use inside the solar project area, because it's something that we've really been working on in Hawaii for the last year, trying to figure out what would benefit people the most to see or to be able to use inside. We've been working with a rancher couple on Oahu. Their name's Oahu Grazers. And this is an actual picture from one of their big utility scale sites that they manage. They bring the sheep on site. They rotate them around the site just so there's enough grass. And it's really cool. It's a good way for a local farmer or rancher to be able to make some extra income from the project. And other things that we've done, just as examples, we've made pollinator habitats, so wildflowers inside where the panels are, beehives. We've made certified wildlife habitats inside the fence, and that's something we could work with different Hawaii conservation groups on how to do. And then there's other options like low growing crops that can be hand picked, because obviously it's difficult to get machines in between the panels. It's not always safe. So if there was something we could plant there that someone could come in and hand pick, that would be great. And then any other uses, I would love to hear from you folks about that. Here is our list of community benefits that we hope that we're committed to bringing to the beneficiaries. So the first one, like we talked about, is discounted electricity for the life of the project, which is 20+ years. The savings will depend on the final CBRE 2 rules. And I wish I could give exact details on dollars and amounts right now, but the Public Utilities Commission has not approved the program yet. So there's different details that they're working out there, but we hope that it'll be 10 to 15%, at least that, a monthly discount on the beneficiaries' electric bills. And the priority for those credits would definitely go to the beneficiaries. And the second one would be updated electrical infrastructure in the community. So as part of NextAMP connecting the project to the grid, HECO will likely do some upgrades to the electrical wires and infrastructure around the community. And so that'll be brand new equipment. That'll be really good in the event of storms, surges, power outages, that type of thing. We also, I just talked to our Senior Vice President of Construction about workforce training that we are able to do for the trade jobs for construction and maintenance. We will work with any beneficiaries who are interested to get them certified, get them trained up so that they can participate in the construction and maintenance of these projects. And then donations too, that was part of our bid to DHHL is, we'll provide donations to nonprofit organizations that serve the homesteads. I talked about sheep in the inside the array, but any other crops or anything that's incorporated would be local food production, which would be great to see, or any other agriculture the beneficiaries suggest. And then the last one is that, this is really a low impact use for the land. Like I said, most of the site is just steel piles that go in, and all of the equipment is very easily removed at the end. It's not like a big commercial development or a housing development where you have foundations and sewer and all of those things. This is really comparatively a very simple project, and once it comes out at the end, we will restore the land, smooth it out, reseed it if the landowner wishes, and it can be used again for agriculture or any other use. This is a nice little graphic about our NextAmp's community solar program. And it just lays out kind of the 3 steps that happen here. You would subscribe to the solar farm, you would get, the clean energy would feed into the grid, and then you would start receiving credits as soon as the solar farm is turned on. And it's a guaranteed discount. It's a set discount that you get every month, so that doesn't change. There's no upfront costs. Some people have heard, and I've heard it too, but it doesn't happen with us, that you would need to buy in or buy a part of the solar farm. That's not the case here. It's just putting in your electric bill information and then getting credits on your bill. And if you would need to cancel, you would just give us a 90-day notice. But if you move, typically you can carry that community solar contract with you, as long as you're staying on the same island. And then, with us, we don't do any kind of credit check or FICO score requirement. We really believe that renewable energy should serve everyone, no matter kind of what your financial background is. If anyone cares to check out the community solar website, and this is HECO's website, just to clarify, this is not NextAmp's, but HECO is requiring that all of the subscribers go through this website, but we, NextAmp, are also able to sign up for you if you don't want to go through it, which I totally understand. It can be a pain. But this is something you can look at right now. There's no projects there yet, obviously, because the program's not open, but if you cared to see it, it looks kind of nice. Okay, so one great thing we do with all the communities we work in is in-person outreach throughout the project process. So we will have informational sessions at various stages of the project. So at the beginning, throughout the planning, right before construction, during construction, make sure everything's going okay and everybody's happy. And then, when people are signing up for community solar, a few NextAmp folks will come out and answer any questions and kind of just talk through the process. And there's also a lot of information on our website if you want to check that out. But we also pay and provide for direct mail to the beneficiaries, any printed advertisements or things that would help bring people to the subscriptions, make sure the project's successful, people sign up. We've done promoted posts on social media like Facebook and Instagram. And then we can also put up some flyers around the community, just kind of outlining the program and bringing people to the website. This is just an example of our outreach materials, some of the things we've done before, what the direct mailer would look like with just some information, the flyer, and then what Facebook posts that we've done in New York before. Once you would sign up for NextAmp's Community Solar program, you would receive this packet in the mail that we have. It's kind of cool. It's got stickers, but it's got a handbook on community solar to answer any questions you might have along the way. A nice little tote bag there, and then other resources that might be helpful to you throughout the contract time. All right, I think this is our final slide. So this shows the most recent schedule that HECO has put out for the program. Obviously, we're past that June 14th date when the final RFP was supposed to be issued. Again, HECO and the Public Utilities Commission are working through some final details on the program to make sure that it is successful, that it will bring renewable energy savings to communities. But this, you know, assuming we add a month or two to the schedule, this is kind of how it would go with the priority list, best and final offers, final award, and then we would start negotiating the power purchase agreement with HECO. Cool.
So thank you, Julie, for taking us through the presentation, and thank you, Julianne, for explaining why we're here tonight. So, you know, we have a small turnout tonight, but hopefully it's a quality turnout. So at this time, Kabehi, Cindy, or George, I think George, you jumped on the call a little bit later. So we'd like to open it up for questions, comments, suggestions for the department to consider. And Kabehi just raised her hand, so I'll start with you.
Thank you. What a great presentation. Very easy to understand. So I understand that DHHL beneficiaries will have first priority. I also understand that you're working with low to moderate income households. So let's say that there is a beneficiary that has a higher income than a non-beneficiary. Will that DHHL beneficiary take precedence over a non-beneficiary?
Yes, definitely. I think that makes the most sense, given that, you know, this is DHHL land, the beneficiary should come first. So that would definitely be our plan.
Okay, so that's going to be part of the agreement in probably the lease then, Andrew, to make sure that beneficiaries are given first priority then, right?
That is something that we can explicitly put in a lease agreement.
Yeah.
I just feel that just my mana'o is that I understand that, you know, there might be some beneficiaries that make more money than some non, but I feel that by not providing them the opportunity for this, it's almost like punishing them for doing well. So I think it's really important that DHHL beneficiaries have first crack at everything, no matter what their income level is. And that's just my mana'o. And then another question, like, it's a little, this is different, I get it. It's not like they're put, you know, like a regular solar type of situation, but 10 to 15% of a discount seems low, but is that because it's just like a different kind of plan? If there's no commitment on the part of the homeowner for the long term, right?
Yeah. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to qualify, you just have to sign up.
Got it.
So, Julie B, can you clarify what the sign up is and whether or not there's a fee for what you folks are proposing?
Sure. So again, this might change a little bit because the program hasn't been finalized, but what would happen is once our project is selected, Nexamp would start sending out information and flyers to all the beneficiaries to encourage them to go on that HECO website that I showed and sign up. And what it would be is you log in with your information and you see like a catalog of solar projects that you can pick from, and they'll have pictures and information. And we would ask that you pick the Nexamp project. And so you would be signed up for that. And if you didn't want to go through all that hassle, we would be happy to, as long as you give us your address information, we could do that for you and confirm it.
Okay, nice. I just have a couple more questions and then I'll let Cindy and George have their questions answered. How far can you be from this land area in order to still receive this service? How far away can you live?
You just have to live on the island. So
Nice, okay.
as far away as possible, yep.
All right, so at this point right now, hasn't been officially chosen as the provider, or are you folks still looking for, this is for Julie and Andrew, are you still looking for bids, or still not looking, but still considering those that place bids, or is this?
No, we received applications and we selected Nexamp. So we're moving forward with Nexamp. That's why we're here at Consultation, to introduce basically our selection of Nexamp to talk directly with the community.
Cool. All right. And my last question is, I like these community benefits that you've noted here, such as, you know, providing workforce development training for job opportunities for construction and maintenance of this project, as well as donations to nonprofits and so forth. How is that going to also be part of the lease, so that these benefits are realized and you know that they're, and how are you going to deliver that? I guess I think they're great. I just want to make sure that once it's all said and done, that they're definitely in place.
Yeah, there would be lease conditions on our end, and then I don't know, you know, how it works operationally on their end, but it would be a stipulation of the lease agreement.
Okay.
And I think what would help the department is, you know, Julianne put some questions on the screen, and you don't have to respond now, but just for you folks to think about and consider is, you know, what kind of projects would benefit the homestead community? What would you like to see supported by this project? So if you can provide us as much specifics as possible, it helps us.
That's helpful, especially in, you know, with what we do at La'iopo 2020. Is there a percentage when you talk about donating to a nonprofit that serves the Hawaiian Native Hawaiian community, of what you'll donate, and also as far as even the workforce development training, would that be for DHHL beneficiaries first, so that they have that opportunity?
Yes, it would, definitely. Yep. I'd love to hear, you know, what those groups would be, what the priority is for the beneficiaries. But that's where that money would go.
Okay, that's good. I'm good. Thank you.
Cindy, go ahead.
Aloha, mahalo for this opportunity. Mahalo for the information you have given me. However, I need to know, when you talk about credits, the credit, does it apply to the beneficiary because they're going to be on renewable energy? Can they put this on a write-off in their taxes? Would they get credit to their taxes?
That I'm not sure about. Can I get back to you on it? I'd have to dig in a little bit to the HECO documents and see what HECO offers right now for tax credits.
Yes, because I think the cap is 30% at this point, and it would help the beneficiary because they are using renewable energy, would help towards the credit towards their taxes, especially those who have high income, would help greatly on that. We need to know how much would be credit to that, and how many years can that credit carry. That is a concern to me, because other project takes a lot of the credit. I want to make sure the beneficiary gets it. Are supporting this program and this renewable thing is where that credit going. Number two is when you talk about 10%, 15% on an annual rate for electric bill.
Monthly.
Uh,
Monthly?
yes. So there are $200, say for instance, electric bill. That means minus 10, between 10 to 15% of that will be coming down. I have a concern on that. For rooftop, I'm a rooftop solar. We generate 600 to 700 megawatts. I mean, not megawatts, but kilowatts. So our hookup fee to HELCO is $26 a month. That's all we pay. And we take the reserve from our solar to cut the cost, because my bills was $300 a month in electric until we convert it fully into solar, rooftop solar. And that's why I know all about that. And a lot of this credit, a lot of this points towards the beneficiary is how much are they getting out of this? If you talk about they're gonna benefit. I'm benefiting 90% off of my solar. I at least can meet them halfway, yeah. 10%, 15% is steep compared to the megawatts you guys are generating off of our suns and resources. So I want to see more into the beneficiary where it's well spent. In other words, on the credit, especially when you talk credit. Number two is you guys are backed up on the maintenance, because I know how much costs for maintenance with solar system. So you guys covering the maintenance, which covers 20 years of the product. I understand that. Hookup fees. You said there is no hookup fees, so therefore you guys are paying the hookup fee per household. Is that correct?
No, we pay an interconnection cost, which can be millions of dollars to HECO to connect it.
They're not hooking up anything, right? We're not actually constructing solar panels on anybody's rooftop.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
When you talk about hookups with HELCO, even though I hooked up my solar, I have to pay a connection to HELCO just in case I don't make enough kilowatts. It's a flat rate, $26.90 a month I pay out of my pocket. That's all I pay.
That's great.
What I want to know if the beneficiary. Yes. Okay. I want to know if the beneficiary is going to pay a hookup fee, because we're talking renewable, even though they don't have solar panels. When you hook up to a household, there is a hookup fee. I'm wondering who pays that hookup fee. Because HELCO is going to require a hookup fee on renewable. Everybody who has solar knows that.
That's the interconnection fee that Julie was referencing.
So you guys pay that?
Yeah. So as Nextamp, as the creator of the renewable energy, they have to pay what in their terms is a interconnection fee that basically plugs the whole solar array into the grid.
And then to the house doesn't pay it then.
The house doesn't have to pay, because at the house, you're already getting your electric bill. All you're getting is as a member of the CBRE, Community-Based Renewable Energy Program, they're gonna provide a discount of 10 to 50% off the monthly electric bill that the beneficiaries already have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, what were you gonna say?
No, Julie, Julie B, do we know if the program excludes families that already have existing solar arrays on their rooftops?
No, you should be able to, if you have a solar array already, the credits are just added to that.
Okay.
The credits is added to pre-existing solar people? Rooftop?
Yeah, so you get your electricity bills lowered from your solar panels, and then it would also be lowered from the CBRE program.
Yeah, I mean, HECO has not come up with their final, RFP, but they've
Yes.
come up with some draft ones that we can read through, and based on, our reading of that, but we'll see when the final comes out,
Oh, I see.
yeah, what they end up with.
And I just wanted to add, I forgot to ask this of the meeting participants at the beginning of the meeting, but if you don't mind signing into the chat box with your name,
Oh, okay.
if you're a lessee or applicant, and then also your contact information. Cindy asked a question that we'll have to get back to you on. So if you can
Okay.
leave like your
Oh, chat box.
email address in the chat box, that way we know how to contact you with that answer.
That's a good question, though. Yeah.
Thank you. So all this question, especially when you get the taxes, will be right off with the Hawaiian Homestead or with this company? If it, whatever the details would HELCO would come out on the tax credit.
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Would this be, if there's a tax credit, would all this be implemented into the lease for the beneficiary?
So let me see if I understand your question correctly, and correct me if I misunderstand it. You're asking is if there is a tax credit, would the credit be passed on to beneficiaries?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
And who would activate that? Like, would it come from Nexamp or would it come from DHHL? Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be Hawaiian Homestead?
Yeah, wouldn't it be us?
Next time, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that Julie B said she'll have to
Look into.
look into. Yeah.
Okay. So when all this come about, when HELCO does their report and brings out the final, are you guys coming back to the community and letting us know what we're looking at?
Definitely. So in our proposal to HECO, we'll have an outline which they require of all the community meetings that we plan to do. And we will definitely have one if we receive a final award.
And
I think you mean the award would be from HELCO?
Yes,
For the power
Once-
purchase agreement.
So we
So-
would know on there as a beneficiary if all that stuff is not in, because we wouldn't know until we see it, right? And it's already, the deal has been done.
So we're required on our end, we're trying to determine right now where they're going, whether we want to grant a right of entry to next, they can do their due diligence, their studies, right? Their environmental assessment. And if they go through all of that, whether then it would, the ROE, the right of entry would then turn into a general lease, and then they would have the site control, right? So that's what we have to determine. But by law, and by policy, we go out and conduct beneficiary consultation meetings like this. We're going to inform you folks about what's happening. In addition to our consultation meetings that we hold, by law, we're required actually to conduct 2 public hearings on the island, where the project is located. So this is us and our beneficiaries, the lessees, applicants that live in this area. Eventually, we will have to go out with public notice in the newspaper saying that we'll have a public hearing, everybody can come, and it'll be the same thing where we would be there, Julie B will be there representing Nexamp, and we would be basically presenting this same kind of a presentation, really with better information, right? We'll have better information
Okay.
in terms of, because HECO would have finalized their RFP, so we would know exactly what they're committing to and what they're asking for. And that's when we'll come out and we'll be able to have that information. And then after the public hearing, then the commission will have to decide, okay, so should we go for this or not? You know, should we grant the right of entry so that they can do their studies and whatnot, their environmental assessment. So that's the next decision, basically. Yeah.
Thank you.
So just a reminder, if you folks can type into the chat box your name, whether you're a lessee or applicant or other, and your contact information so that we can get in touch with you.
Very good questions.
Yeah. George or Rick, did you folks have any questions, comments? I know the two of you jumped on a little bit towards the end of the call. So if there's anything you would like us to go over, please let us know.
Maybe Rick can introduce himself, or Julie can introduce him.
Yeah, I can. Rick Wissman is with
Awesome.
Next. He's one of our vice presidents and he's in California.
Hello, and sorry for joining late. I had another planning commission meeting that overlapped, so I'm glad I was able to at least get a little bit of flavor of the discussion and hear some of the questions. So I'm happy to support Julie B and the rest of the team in any way.
All right. So George, does George have any questions? Or maybe Kavehi?
No, all I was going to say was, as long as, I mean, I know that HECO has lots of penalties that they note in their agreements. Does any of the penalties fall back on Hawaiian Homes? Is Hawaiian Homes responsible for any of the penalties that next step is? Go ahead.
We don't have any agreement with HECO. So we have, our agreement is with the renewable energy producer, Nexamp. Nexamp is the one that has the agreement with HECO. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can tell you guys know a lot about this by the questions and comments that you make.
Thank you again. You could see my questions were probably more a little bit along the lines of the organization L 2020, but I do appreciate the transparency in which you folks are going about this. So this is actually the first meeting, if you will, right? And then you're going to go through the rest of the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And by this first meeting, from what little information we would have been able to provide or the questions we have, I would assume that at the next meeting, those would have been taken into consideration and possibly notated somewhere so that maybe the next group wouldn't have the same questions. It's kind of like it's a process of growth and elimination at the same time.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Mahalo.
That's correct. We would come back the next time with a summary of what we heard from this meeting, as well as any comments we receive between now and over the next month or so. I think one of the things that we want to do, especially since this meeting is on Zoom and it is being recorded, we will post a meeting to our website. I think what we want to do is probably just send another notice to the 975 beneficiaries in North Kona, and pointing them to the website to watch this meeting and to ask them for any additional questions or mana'o that they might have. We know that people are super busy with other Kuleana work, family, so they might not have been able to make it tonight, but we want to make sure that we give additional opportunities for people to input on this important project, because it has the potential to do a lot of good for our beneficiary community.
Mm-hmm. Along those lines, I put up a slide for next steps. So, just kind of summarizing what we've already said, that we have to wait for HECO to release that RFP. Nexamp would respond to the RFP. There's some due diligence work being done on site, but you can see that they've already come up with their layout on the configuration on the land. We are required to conduct 2 public hearings, and that's not, the commission, the Hawaiian Homes Commission is required to conduct 2 public hearings. So the commission, it would be like a commission meeting open to the public. And that would be to decide on whether or not to give Nexamp a right of entry to do their due diligence studies, their environmental assessment, and that would be converted to a general lease if all the requirements have been met. And so that's kind of like the next commission decision. And we will have the public hearing before that. The other thing I wanted to show is, so we have, because this is a consultation meeting, we usually have the 30-day comment period. And so what Andrew's is, we should send out a notice and tell them that we're still open for comments. Or you can tell your neighbors that after they listen to after they view the video on this meeting, they could still provide comments to, they could get the information off our website, which is the first point here. They could, and then submit their questions or comments either via email or by snail mail to the address here. And, that'll be open till August 12th. They can send in our comments, and then we can put that together in a consultation report, and we would be submitting that to the commission. So the commission knows what you guys were thinking in terms, what questions and concerns you had about the project. And that's all the slides we have, actually.
One more question.
Sure.
Was the selection for the contractors made public, or was that something that the DHHL did in-house?
I mean, it's, let's see, I should think before I do this. I think we posted on the, what is that, state?
Yeah, it was done through the state procurement website.
Procurement website,
Yeah,
SPO.
So I think the short answer to your question, it's a public solicitation.
So yes, it was a public solicitation, but when you received all of your proposals, were those proposals open to the public for input?
No, there was a review committee of 3 persons at the department who scored separately each proposal.
All right, so that was private. Okay, good. How many contractors submitted?
For Kalaoa was 2
3.
or was 3, Julie? 3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Was any of the contractors from Hawaii?
Yes.
Contractors or beneficiary, sorry. The beneficiary, was any of those contractor beneficiaries?
There was one proposal by a beneficiary organization that partnered with a renewable energy producer, yes. And the way that the program was scored was that there was a section in the scoring chart for beneficiary organizations to get additional points.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, so with regards to this, the way that these contractors are selected, I'm assuming that that's just a straight across way that DHHL does business with regards to handling RFPs. Is that correct?
This
Yeah,
is not a, yeah,
go
this is
ahead,
a, this was a solicitation. So we put on an ad saying, we're looking for this renewable energy projects for these parcels. And we had 4 parcels that we put up, right? 1 and 2 on the Big Island. This is the Kalaoa one. And we gave the guidelines on what kind of things we wanted in the application, and we had a deadline, and we received it, and basically kind of looked at what we received and evaluated it on criteria that we specified in this document, this solicitation. You know, so the ad went on and said, anybody interested in submitting applications, check out this website, check out our information packet. And it had everything in there in terms of our criteria, what we're looking for, what the requirements were.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that loud and clear. It's just that I'm wanting to confirm that once DHHL receives completed packets, it then becomes an in-house decision made on, like you say, a panel of 3. Is that how it is for all types of whether you call them RFPs or these type of solicitations? Is that the way you folks handle it after you received it?
Yeah, so I think I understand what you're saying. So most procurement instruments through the state put out public solicitations, and then there are usually review committees. Some, depending on the size of the solicitation, you could even have a selection committee that reviews potential candidates, and then a review committee that reviews the proposals. So there's different procurement instruments, but they more or less work the same in that the solicitation goes out, and then there's a review committee, and then there's a scoring chart that each reviewer uses. And in this case, the scoring chart specific to this solicitation included additional points for beneficiary-led organizations.
Yeah.
Cool, right on. So this is basically a state procurement type of structure then. It's not DHHL, it's the way the state does it, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a state agency, we utilize the
follow
procurement instruments, and then we have a page on our website that's specific to all the procurement that we do. So we list, you know, when we put the solicitation out, it includes all the documents, and then when we do the final award, we also list the entity that received the award and how much and things like that.
I just wanted to add, actually, I think the selection committee was 6 people, right? I mean, we had in-house, and then we had our renewable energy consultants also in the help to evaluate the proposals, because they have the subject matter expertise. So I think there were 6 reviewers, and then the total score is posted with the state procurement office. Is that correct? Yeah.
It is publicly posted on the state procurement website, the outcome. The other thing I just wanted to point out, to add on to what Cedric and Julianne was talking about, is that for renewable energy projects, specifically, we had to follow the guidelines laid out in HRS 171.
95.3.
171.95.3. So that is a statute that we followed to procure a developer for this particular site.
Thank you. I appreciate it, because I don't know these kind of things. So if I'm asking, it's because I don't know. And
I
understand.
Yeah. We want to let everyone know our process, because other state agencies, while they utilize the Chapter 171.953 process, the Department of Hawaii and Homelands adds to the process these beneficiary consultations that other state agencies do not do.
Yeah.
So you take it up levels to give the beneficiaries that edge, yeah?
Yeah. Well, also to add to the transparency. So while we will do public hearings the way that other state agencies will do a public hearing, we add these beneficiary consultations into the process as well.
Got it.
Any other questions? This time is your time, so feel free to ask any other questions that you might have, or make any other comments you have at this time.
Andrew, can I send you, I've been taking notes of the questions that I asked and the answers that I received. Is it okay if I email that to you so you have it directly from me?
Sure.
With your
Sure. No
team?
problem. Yeah.
When is the EIS taking place? Is there going to be an EIS impact statement?
Probably an environmental assessment. You know, it's
Yes,
chapter 343. That's basically going to happen if after several hoops, so they would have to get the approval from commission, the right of entry agreement to do due diligence work, which would then convert to a general lease. If they do the EA, they would have to get the power purchase agreement from HECO, right? So there is a project that's being proposed. Then they would have to have done all of their studies. That too will be taken out for consultation, beneficiary consultation, and that too is another commission decision that would have to be made to accept that environmental assessment, right? So that's a whole nother process. It usually takes over a year to do that. And that would happen after, if next app makes it through all of the hoops with HECO, right, and get selected in the end, and they would have a viable project, then they could go into their environmental documents. Hard to say, seeing how we've been waiting, as you saw from the time frame, you know, for a long time for HECO to come up with their RFP, and they keep on delaying it. So, you know, we just have to wait till they drop the RFP, and then we got to go through, next AMP has to go through their selection process.
Cindy, did you have any other questions?
No.
That's amazing that you have your bill down to $26. That is amazing.
Just hook up fee.
Right.
17 panels.
Wow. So all that work that you went into to have to finance it, or however you did it, that was worth it.
It paid off in 3
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Wow.
Because of the bill. So it reduces the bill so I could pay the panel. Yeah.
Good deal.
3 years you pay it off.
Commissioner Kalikini or Chair Ayla, did you folks have any comments, closing comments, or observations?
Andrew, I just want to say thank you to everyone, both Julie's and yourself. Don't mind my geese. Sorry about that. Geese is listening in too. No, very informative. Very nice presentation by staff and also by next app from Julie B. Appreciate it. Looking forward to continuing this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. That will be recorded as geese testimony. So I just want to mahalo staff and mahalo our beneficiaries out in Kona for participating and asking hard questions and sharing, you know, their thoughts. This is just the beginning of the process. We have quite a ways more to go. And, you know, some of it is out of our hands. It's in the hands of HECO. And, you know, we will see as we go through this process. So mahalo to everyone who spent the evening with us.
And I just wanted to add one last thing. Mahalo nui, Cindy and Kavehi and George for taking the time out of your busy schedules. We really appreciate it. And just one more ask, if you can just, you know, let your neighbors know, let other beneficiaries know in the region that we are interested in their mana'o on this project, and point them to the website that you use to log into this meeting. That would be greatly appreciated. I think what we'll do is we'll make another communication to the 975 beneficiaries in the region and also ask them to send in their comments because we want to get as much feedback as possible on this before so that the commission has enough information to make an informed decision.
Okay, and I'll help you spread the word on this side also. And I'm sure Cindy too, yeah, Cindy, we will try to let everybody know because that's the thing, yeah, no, talk later.
Yeah,
Right?
too late. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can help you guys get that word out.
All right.
Aho nui for that.
Yeah.
With that, then thank you everyone for meeting with us tonight, and we will be in touch.
Thank you all.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Mahalo. Ahui.
Mahalo.
We hope.